welcome to the reorganizational meeting for Thursday, July 6th, 2023. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So, number 1.2, oath of office of newly elected non-board members and returning Board of Education members. So you all have the oath of office. Jessica, will you stay up for this?
I have to. I do. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Board of Education Trustee.
I do. At this time, we're going to do the election of Board of Education officers for President and Vice President. Do I have a nomination for President?
I would nominate Rachel Silver.
Any other nominations? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Honored to continue to serve, or to serve this year. I'd like to call for a nomination for the Vice President, the office of Vice President.
I would like to nominate Rob Sampson.
Any second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Okay, and we now are going to approve or vote for the approval of the ex officio board member, Paige Lehman, our second one filling the seat ever. And I think we just call this for a vote. Do we have would anyone like to move it? I'll move it. Anyone like to second?
Second.
I think everyone wanted to do that. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Congratulations. All right. Now we're going to move through the reorg meeting. Is everyone okay with this being a consent agenda? We'll first go to the roll call. And everyone is here except Trisha Putman, who's unable to be here today, but she will hopefully be with us notice. And now we have a public hearing for the Code of Conduct and Code of Conduct co-curricular and extracurricular activities. This is an annual event. If there's anyone who would like to speak to this, it is policies 5300 and 5205. Any takers? All right.
No, I'll do it. I'm going to do a poor job because Trish led this effort, but I'll just go over the highlights of the changes.
Sure.
So, as part of the process, we considered recommended changes from the administration as well as the district advisory committee. The biggest change that you'll see in the code of conduct is the addition of restorative practices, which was part of the NISBA recommended policy and also strongly recommended by Frank to move in that direction and include restorative practices throughout. There were some updates as well to comply with DASA, the Dignity for All Students Act, with respect to protective hairstyles. We also changed parent throughout to parent guardian. And there was a language change that was also part of NISBA's recommendations to change penalty to consequences, so that we made that change throughout, unless there was, I think, one particular section where penalty was more appropriate and it stayed as penalty, but otherwise we changed to consequences. So those are the big changes, and kudos to Tim and Tricia.
There were hours and hours of policy meetings addressing this, and behind the scenes, I know there were more hours.
And then just, Barbara pointed out to me, there's a couple of things that I think we missed in the cleanup. So I'll just note the changes, so page 11, there's a number 13 that follows the dress code. So that just needs to be removed. And then there's one section on page 12 where we have a word, maybe in two places in brackets, where I think we intended to leave it as is, but the bracket was not removed. And then just one other note on dress code. We removed, actually, do you want me to go through more of the specific changes to certain sections?
Yeah.
So in the definition of weapon, we changed Kung Fu star to throwing star as a more correct term. In the dress code, we removed the word underwear. So the previous language was shall not expose private parts of the body or underwear. And the reason we made that change is we believe that the code language in the next paragraph that covers the requirement to wear a shirt and pants or shorts should cover underwear. So we removed that. And then when we get to the extracurricular, co-curricular, it's there too. Over there? Okay. So this is one where Frank put a ton of work into ready this. There was a bunch of other codes of conduct, athletic, extracurricular, co-curricular. So Frank led the effort to combine all of those into one athletic and extra/co-curricular activities policy. And you'll see on the agenda for the regular board meeting that we are abolishing the existing current extracurricular policy and the regulation, as well as the athletic code of conduct, because they are now all contained in synthesized policy. The big change there in terms of content is we revised the penalty structure for the violations to lower the minimum penalties. The consensus among the members of the policy committee was that we were a little harsh, particularly for the provisions that had to deal with self-reporting of violation. So we revised the penalties there. And as part of revamping these policies, the extracurricular, co-curricular code of conduct will be part of the notification packet that gets sent home to families where you've got to acknowledge that you've read these policies and reviewed them before you return to school. So that change will be carried out by the administration as part of the return to school packet. And then another piece is that we will administratively institute a more formal training rules review, so that prior to, I think we were intending to do it at the beginning of the year. We'll have a formal rules of the road for extracurricular and athletic activities. Good?
Thank you. That's
Yep.
huge. With that, I think we go to appointments. 1.7, appointing a number of different positions to be filled. Is everyone okay that the necessary oaths of office will be administered to the appointees after this? Does anyone want to move that?
Move it.
Second? Awesome. All in favor?
Aye.
And I just want to reiterate that we'll go back into this, but this policy work has been enormous, and it went through because of the effort of many, many hours by many people. And it's very appreciated. Designation things with that 1.8, sorry, 1.8, 1.9, 1.10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I'm good with going all the way to 1.31. Everyone remember that? Yes. Yes. Who would like to move all of those? All right, and a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And now is when we go to the readoption of the code of conduct, just spoke about a second ago. And
Is everyone ready to go, or are there any thoughts or questions about that?
I want to add, as a member of the policy committee, I was so impressed with Trish, for example. Not here today, she was amazing. And having RD on that committee, Frank being an active participant in that committee, we had some very rich discussions. And I think you have here very eclectic code of conduct, one that we took from Frank's finding out from other districts, ISPA, and our own. And I would also add that I think this has to remain a kind of a work in progress. Something else happens that we find that we need to make adjustments, we'll make adjustments. But I'm very proud of what we've done here for this. I think it's a really well done job. Kudos to my committee members.
It's a living document, and it'll come up to you next time. So would anyone like to move it forward? Anyone like to second it? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And 1.33, any thoughts or questions on this one? This is the code of conduct that incorporates extracurricular activities. Does it all, isn't it?
It's, yeah, it's all.
Yes, the whole shebang. Anything you do, please.
Anything outside of that.
So anyone want to move it?
Oh,
Move it.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, now we can re-adopt all the existing board policies and regulations in one swoop. Would anyone like to move that?
So moved.
Oh, please. Yeah, second it? Second. A second? A second. All right, all in favor? Aye. Okay. Now have the policies. And 1.35, I'm gonna join with 1.35, 36, and 37. Anyone wanna move those three? Are there any questions or thoughts on those three? Second? I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
The calendar dates that we had for 2023, 2024. Are we good with those meeting dates that we selected? Yeah. Anyone want to move that calendar forward? I'll move that. Second? All in favor? Aye. All right, and 39 to, shall we go to, all the way down to 44?
Sure. I'll move those. Unless anyone has a question.
I do want to say that I think it's something we're talking about in the fall, having conversations between me about taxing and the things that go into that. And this is kind of touching on that. So I'd like to just put it in our heads that that's something we may want to have a conversation on. Listen to talk about that and hear from anybody. So with that in mind, 1.39 to 1.44. Is everyone good with that? Okay, does anyone move it? All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, second? Wait, give me a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. That would move to new business. 2.1 is our new business. Is there anyone who has any thoughts or questions about that? Anyone want to move it? Move it. Anyone want a second? I'll second. All in favor? Aye. With that, we end our reorganization meeting and all right. There's been a request. I think we need a motion to do it, but to move, I think it's 5.1, the discussion of bus patrol, not budget, 6.1, thank you. The discussion of bus patrol, so the beginning of the meeting, because Rob has to leave.
Yeah, I apologize.
A few minutes due to the scheduling issue. Would everyone be okay with that? Would anyone, just to move bus patrols?
I'll move to amend the agenda to have 6.1 addressed first.
Okay,
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
We'll see what we can do in your time constraint. And so for everyone, we're just gonna go straight to 6.1 and then go on that. So, Frank, would you like to talk about this?
So this came to the board in January. We had multiple discussions. The board's asked for multiple resource. We brought in the county and bus patrol in. I believe that was 2 months ago. We then rehashed it last week because that was one last time we met. I'm wondering what the next process was. At that point in time, I stated that I would make a recommendation to the board for discussion and vote. And that's where we are.
Anyone want to bring up thoughts or questions? I'll just flag that I have to abstain.
Yes.
We still would have a quorum. Yes.
We even though Trish was in for her, so yes.
Right.
Yeah, not just.
Did we get any answers back from bus patrol to the questions that we asked?
Yes, you did.
Did they not forward it to the whole board?
I got it.
I thought it went to the.
Would you like me to read them?
Sure, that would be great. The board had questions and posed them directly to bus patrol and the county, and Frank forwarded the county questions directly to the county. Some of them were county related, as county is involved in this.
Just gotta find it. So question 1, is there a fee paid by anyone for the system once installed? If so, what happens if ticketing charges are less than the fee or less than your expenses? Who would pay any fees, annual, monthly, or otherwise? Is there a guarantee that fees will not be charged on the district? Response from bus patrol, this is not the county, I do have a county-wide response. There is no cost on the program and no fees will be charged for the district. The county and bus patrol have a contractual financial agreement that was completed after bus patrol was awarded the contract via an RFP competitive bid issued by the county for school bus stop arm program. The RFP is a 2021-081 vendor for a countywide school bus stop arm enforcement. That's very similar to the county. 2, can you please share the data you have for school districts with bus patrol systems in place for multiple years? You mentioned a year-on-year decrease in ticketing rates of 25 to 30%. Does that differ for different districts, urban versus suburban versus rural? Does the trend continue to plateau? Any reduction in bus passing is obviously desirable, just hoping to get an understanding of what that might be. Similarly, how does this align with the number of tickets given? Is there a direct correlation between an increase in ticketing and the decrease in cars passing buses? We heard that 98% of drivers do not reoffend. How many drivers do reoffend and how many times? This is the response from bus control. As mentioned, we see a first-year reduction of 25 to 30% of violators. Several factors continue to drive down the number of violators year over year, and it does differ from state and location. As the program matures in the jurisdiction, county and becomes more adopted in New York State across multiple counties and jurisdictions, we will continue to see a decrease in both the number of tickets issued and cars that pass the school bus stop arm. One of the key benefits of the program is to hold all violators accountable for not stopping at the school bus stop arm. New York State Law 1174A has a tiered fine schedule as described in the law. The liability of the owner pursuant to this section shall be $250 for a first violation, $275 for a second violation, both of which were committed within a period of 8 months, and $300 for a third subsequent violation, all which are committed within a period of 18 months. The fine escalation helps drive down the recidivism rates. Question 3. Are there any roads or locations where bus patrol is not able to ticket some passing a school bus? Bus patrol response. Bus patrol implements enforcement geoforcing of all roads near Albany County that are associated with school districts that have chosen to participate in the county. Bus patrol will specifically exclude any region, school, roadways, or school parking lots that are advised by the county on request from the school districts. So that's school property. How much has been spent by the county to educate drivers? How much is budgeted? What else is being done with the funds generated by the tickets? The RFP did not have a specific PSA requirement, so we have worked with the individual school districts and counties to continuously bring awareness to our efforts and violators. We support program content distribution. This is from Bus Patrol County. I believe it was $18,950, and there was some other responses with that. Can you find that?
18,192.
Thank you.
So, I think that's the only question.
They didn't answer the total amount. No, I think they said it was 9,000. It was in the newspaper.
So those are the answers.
So there's one, just since I looked at the agreement, even though I can't vote on it, there was one provision in there that has to do with internal cameras, so not the ones that
They do not put them in, so therefore they are not part of that.
Okay, all right.
Those
That
are
was
our,
something, yeah,
no,
we had.
those are ours, and they are not part of our program since they do not install them. But we had that clarified there.
All right.
Speak in support of this. Thought a lot about our responsibility to keep kids safe and where are kids vulnerable. Where are places where they could really be hurt. And this idea of getting on the bus, crossing the road, getting on the bus, getting off the bus, possibly crossing the road, that's a really potentially dangerous time for a child. And if there is a way for us to limit that exposure, to limit that danger, I think we need to do this. The fact that it doesn't cost us anything, for me, makes it a no-brainer. I don't see the downside of this at all. Maybe something I'm missing, I don't see it. I'm voting yes.
I generally agree with you, Jim. I will give you a yes on the resolution. All that said, I think the program itself is deeply flawed, given that, look, we have no ability to do anything in this. I understand the way things are set up, and I understand when I ask the county the question, it requires resources to process tickets, sort of, but the way this is all set up with a sort of two-tiered system of, ticketing drivers versus ticketing vehicles, and the only person who can ticket vehicles, or the only entity that can ticket vehicles, is bus patrol. And that to me seems, look, I'm sorry, a little bit crazy, right? Like, I don't see any reason why, for example, we as a school district couldn't just mail out a ticket to the address on record and then collect the fees from the county board, and that would be something that makes sense. But anyway, I know there's issues with that. This is just my personal feelings on sort of the craziness of how this RFP was done and how the contract was entered into. Like, a lot of it just doesn't make sense. All that said, we get free equipment. That's great. I would much rather see at some point in the future us be able to install our own equipment and ticket drivers ourselves and split with the county or the county process or whatever. I understand this pipe dream probably would never happen. That would be my preference, but given you do that, having something that at least marginally increases safety is good. No cost to us, also good. But just noting the kind of, I apologize, crazy town, sort of. It's just not. It doesn't feel good to me the way it's set up. So, but that's just me. I'll still be in support of this.
Can I ask you, don't you think that this offers a level of objectivity that we might not have if we were doing this ourselves? I honestly think there's certain functions of a school district, of any organization, that you want to hire out to somebody else who specializes in it. I'm not a specialty.
Sure.
That's not where we specialize. We want to make sure we're putting our resources into instruction.
Yeah. The problem I have is more with the revenue split with the county and the way it's all set up.
Why isn't the county?
Exactly, the county should.
The way the law was
Because
set up.
there's a company that does this for a living.
Right, but the county could just as easily, the way the legislation is set up is that the county, every other entity ticketing has to ticket the driver and has to identify the driver. But this is my understanding, I'm a lawyer. But bus patrol is allowed to ticket the car. And that difference.
But somebody driving that car past our bus.
Yes.
No, that should be done.
But
Yes.
I'm saying other people should be able to ticket the car.
Figure that out
It's-
afterwards.
Right,
Yeah.
yes, we're there, I think Rob and I are in a similar state of mind on this, whereas we want the safety to increase, and this is a way to do it. But the question that we're kind of saying in the background is, why is this being privatized? Why is this cash, this income going to a private entity rather than to support the services that make it so?
I don't know about you, but have you ever gotten a ticket and you felt like it wasn't fair?
No.
Okay, well, I have. And, and I just don't trust, honestly, that the county could manage a program of this nature. I really don't. So I'm happy with the way this came in.
Like I said,
I think it's a great business.
I will still support it, but I would love to see us over time, perhaps. Maybe not for change, but look, I think it would be great. This is a perfect opportunity for this type of program to be able to fund education and and split it with the district. Like the fact that there's no district split in that ticketing is,
I think the
like,
buses.
I don't need to make money off it.
Sounds like a municipal issue.
Yeah.
Yes, very
But-
good point.
Anyway, that's just me. These are nitpicks, but it's just something I'd like to get out there. So I will be supporting the resolution.
Are there any other thoughts or questions? With that, let's, have this in public, that we have a resolution from us. With anyone, since there are no thoughts or questions, like to move it.
Oh,
Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
aye.
Okay, so we got
Yeah.
5
Is that all of
votes.
us?
All
Okay.
of us. All right, thank you. All right, with that.
Okay. Thank you. Very nice. I appreciate it. Oh, there you go. That's pretty good.
All right, there you go, enjoy. We now have control.
Sorry.
All right, with that, we're gonna go back to, the regular board meeting 1.1 for the good of the order board discussion. Anyone have anything for the order they'd like to bring?
I thought the graduation ceremony was fabulous. I was so impressed with the list of colleges, universities that our graduates are going to attend. It was just so heartwarming to see that their next step is going to be something that's pretty admirable. I'm really proud of this group. That's my two cents.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing too. I mean, the list of schools is impressive, but the speeches this year
Yeah.
are just so well done. I mean, really thoughtful, just, it didn't leave any question in your mind as to how bright some of our students. Really impressive. Well, all the pathways that the students are choosing, I think it was wonderful to see so many different pathways forward. To military service, to employment, and to other avenues of fulfilling their ambitions. I just thought that was important and beautiful.
One of the things that came, two themes that came through that I really loved was the kids who had attended Voorheesville schools from kindergarten on, and just talked about this being their home, loved it here, how safe and secure, nurturing places, and I got these two little grandkids who are going to go through this, and that really gave me a very heartwarming message. And the other one, I think it came from the Mrs. Gardner, who said, "If I knew then what I know now," and I think all of us are probably thinking, "Yeah, that's truer words have never been spoken." So that was those were really good themes.
She's amazing.
I don't know.
I don't know. She's so eloquent. Any other? Wishing all the people who are not working right now in the school buildings. And welcome. We now have an opportunity for students to be heard. But if there were students in the audience, come forward now, and there's also an opportunity for the public to be heard. If anyone here would like to be heard, please join us at the podium. Okay, come forward. And now, Paige, you have the student opportunity to be heard.
First of all, I'd just like to say thank you everyone for having me here. I'm really grateful for the opportunity. Some things that happened since the last meeting, the middle school had their Civil War Day. So they had reenactors come in and teach them about what it was like to live during the time of the Civil War. And that's a really cool experience. Also, we had a bunch of different high school students get their skills of civic readiness. And I had the opportunity to hear about other students' projects as well as submit my own project. And I think it's just great to see our students giving back to the community and other places. And then also just congratulations to the class of 2023. I know we have some very students with good potential. We have people going to MIT, Princeton, Cornell. So I think there's just a lot of good things.
Paige, the seal of civic readiness, can you tell us about your part?
Yeah, so me and a group of 4 other students, we collected school supplies and funds for kids in Kenya. There's a school near the southwest of Kenya, and it's an all-girls school, and they have trouble getting to school and having supplies because tuition is the equivalent of about $42,000 or 42,000 shillings, which is a lot of money in Kenya, but it's only actually $200. So by collecting $700 as well as these huge buckets of school supplies, we got so much at the end of the school year, we'll be able to help multiple students afford their tuition and provide them with supplies.
Welcome, Pete. So glad you're here.
Great. And let's move to any more questions? Superintendent's report.
Okay, so I want to start with the facilities update. Capital project, a big one. There's multiple capital projects going on actually. But the big capital project, the transportation facility has been submitted to state education department. We're still fine tuning it. A lot of work still needs to be done on understanding exactly what we're doing with the electrical system. We're again meeting with our engineer soon. So even though it's submitted, we still have an opportunity to fine tune. The goal is to see what can we put in the base bids of everything to prepare us for the future. Because it's a never-changing market right now, and what it's going to look like for busing and what it's going to look like for power supplies really is unknown. So we're trying to get a better understanding of that, but we hope to have that done pretty soon. We're in the process, Jim's in the process of working through my CERTA grant, which will pay for almost all of, right? 75%. Of a study that will basically give us exactly what we need to know about electric busing. How many routes we need, exactly what type of buses we need, what kind of electrical systems there are, what kind of electrical systems will be coming into us, because that's a really important thing, because we don't even know what we have outside that runs into our buildings. That will really depend on, that really will make us understand exactly what we need and what we can get to be able to charge our buses. So that is a work in progress at the moment. Yeah.
One thing, so I mentioned this to Rachel offhand. My firm does it, so obviously you're not going to use my firm, but just as an FYI for you guys to think about, there's a federal tax law provision, 179D, that was expanded through the Inflation Reduction Act that allows for tax credits to be generated for renewable energy or energy improvements, so building like energy efficient buildings. I'm dumbing this down, but basically the credit used to not be able to benefit public entities because they don't pay any federal tax. The credit under the IRA has been changed and it's now refundable. There's a process you have to go through to pre-file for your project, but then you file a return as if you were, a taxpayer, a federal taxpayer, and any excess credit then is refunded in cash. So
that's interesting because there was a podcast about that through the national net. So I've heard that before, so we'll have to start.
yeah, so I obviously can't use my firm to do it, but it's out there. It's a huge benefit. It's a game changer for public entities.
Thank you. So the project is, again, these are all soft targets, so I'm hoping this is what it works, because you never know. We submitted, we're hoping to have it back by November, hopefully. That means out to bid in that time frame, and then hopefully breaking ground in the spring. So that's our goal. That's going to happen, we don't know. But we're hearing that they actually are pushing time out even further now at state end, so fingers crossed that in their time frames. The elementary school is slated to be submitted in August. Still a lot of work that needs to be done on that. A lot of our site work still hasn't been determined, so we're waiting on another project, another round of architects. But we're getting closer and closer to being able to have that ready for submittal as well. That's another year-long process to get that one started. So still a long way to go. And even though it doesn't seem like there's a lot of work going into it, there's a lot of work getting done in the back end by multiple people. The middle school secure vestibule is actually in progress. You've seen it, and that's why our middle school's off. But the secure vestibule is almost done. Problem is that it is back order, so welcome to reality. It'll be about 2 more weeks, they say. But they've already moved the electrical panels, they're already moving the wires into the electric. So again, secure vestibule. People will not be able to just walk into the middle school office. They'll be buzzed into one area, and then they'll be contained. They can either drop off what they need to in the window and leave, or they can then get buzzed in afterwards after they use our Raptor system, get signed into the building, get cleared, and then go. So it just increases the safety. The high school vestibule, which we've been talking about for a while, is to change your funding stream, went back to smart schools. Again, a lot of due process to get us there. We finally submitted that, so that's a positive thing. We've been able to change that up, so we're not doing a lot of movement of like electric heating, which allows us then to use some of that money to restructure the lighting, the ceiling tile, and actually make it a little bit more inviting as you walk into the high school. So instead of looking like a dingy dungeon, it should look a little bit more appealing as you walk in. Problem with this, it's going to be a pretty intensive project when it does get bid out, so that won't be done until next summer. We won't be able to break off that building in that time frame. So we're going to have to wait about a year. Again, it's going to take 4 to 5 months anyways to get it back. Another 3 to 4 months to bid. So we're looking at something. Yeah, we're looking for something. The fiber optic cable, currently, because we are recabling the whole high school, middle school, that is actually being laid now. That will increase our internet speeds, computer speeds, and that's our first step into installing our new camera systems. So step 1, step 2, and then next year we'll do another camera install to be fully updated. But moving course. Our tennis courts are finished. Our pickleball lines are not. So pickleball lines are coming in next week. But other than that, if you have a chance to look at them and play on them, they're phenomenal. So the mantra is a focus or direction, provides connection to a goal, and something to accomplish daily while connecting goals to actions. In May of 2022, the District Advisory Committee, which is staff, students, parents, they began exploring what mantras or focus statements are utilized by the district. What they come to find out in the analysis was PRIDE is used an acronym to the elementary school, started about 8 years ago. That acronym is pretty well embedded into the elementary schools, using songs and things like that. As you go to the middle school, PRIDE is something that they started a few years back. It's really not incorporated in the same way, and it's a different acronym, right? It's a different word. So it loses that connection that you're building in the elementary school that's kind of lost if you don't continue with words. In the high school, there is no focus word or focus mantra that's been used. The committee decided that it was a good undertaking to be able to look at creating a mantra K-12, something to be able to work through. There was a lot of work done by a lot of members of the committee. They worked with all the buildings, they surveyed, they created projects that went to the staff members to be then communicated out to the students. So tons of work done by the teachers, students, teacher assistants, everyone is on the district advisory committee. The surveys went out. The team then looked at a bunch of different surveys, things that came back. They found ones that kind of all connected, and then decided on one final mantra. The mantra is birds. It's the acronym birds, so birds. That can be utilized K-12, and it's going to be inclusive, responsible, determined, and strong. So it's one sentence that kind of connects it all together, and it can grow developmentally and age appropriate from K to 12. So that's going to be, something a lot of schools have these. This is one for us that will actually be a K-12 kind of moment that was developed by staff, students, community members, and literally every single student in the district I think put into somehow some suggestions. We are going to start posting that to our buildings, banners, in different ways that you include it, and then also then building principals and their building leadership teams will find ways to connect their goals and their buildings to that statement. So it's something to build off and focus on. Any questions?
Congratulations.
Yeah, it was a lot of hard work by a lot of people, and well done.
And I think the actual mantra that we eventually agreed on came from students.
It did. There were 2 students that had very similar ones that did not have names on it. Yeah, so I'm going, when we do send it out, we're going to send them a letter with like the sticker or whatever we get first, and then we do a proclamation form. Was kind of where I was going with it. I thought that'd be nice, but it's 2 students and they don't have their names in front of them.
Is it responsive or responsible?
Responsible. Inclusive, responsible, determined. have written here.
Determined.
Yeah.
Determined.
Be inclusive, responsible, determined, strong. And if it's responsive, I apologize.
No, it's not.
It's not, okay, you don't be all confused. Yes. So, and again, there were a lot of different ones that came out of here. A lot of solution birds, different ways to be able to, but this is the one that everybody kind of agreed upon. This is what we utilize for this. So, the last thing is I shared with the board, and it's also on the board agenda, is the exit survey. I just wanted to give an opportunity for the board to have a conversation, if they so wish to. Again, the respondents wise, we got more than we've done in the past. Still not a giant response and section of our full community, but still more, and still gives you a better understanding of how some of our voters vote. Questions, comments?
I didn't read any surprises.
Yeah, no surprises. I think the continuing theme from when we did it last year was the people who voted no, for the most part, I think feeling like they didn't have any information about how the money was going to be spent. So I know we did a lot more public outreach this past year than we did the year prior, which was a good effort and held on. Otherwise, no surprises.
I think one of the things that the board discussed, and I think will be one of the ways to be able to help understand how the money is spent, is doing more full by community distribution budget of our newsletters. So we're going to do 3 of those each year, one in the fall, one in the winter, and then the budget newsletter. Because instead of just reaching out to our community only when we want something, we're giving them the full information. Also doing the forums, Rachel mentioned in the beginning, to talk about taxing, talk about our budget, talk about some of these ones. Well, then maybe hopefully lean into this conversation. So I think we've already created goals to be able to address some of that, and we're moving forward each year. All I got.
Thank you. Great, with that, we're gonna keep moving through the agenda with the approval of minutes. Any questions or thoughts about the minutes? Anyone like to move them? I will move them. Okay, second them. All right, all in favor? Aye. And the treasurer reports 4.1. Anyone like to read those? Or any thoughts or questions? You're gonna move them. Anyone like to second those? I'll second. All in favor? Aye. All right, with that, we go to personnel items. I understand your certificate. So, are there any thoughts or questions about personnel items?
Just a question on the order thing, because I think he had later. Oh no, those are memory. Okay, I'm good.
Would anyone like to move them?
I'll move them.
Anyone like to second?
A second.
All in favor? Aye. With that, we can go to CSE recommendations. And I'm gonna just ask if there are questions about that, or the BOCES sub-list, are there any questions about that? Or thoughts, and the 4.5 MOA 4.6. Any questions, thoughts? 4.7, 4.8, all the way down.
I'm gonna ask my question about MOA.
Yep.
Just not familiar with them coming out as many as we do. We've negotiated contract with the Teachers Association. We have a contract with the support staff. These MOAs, I understand, I have no problem with any. But I just don't understand why we continue to, Frank has tried to explain it to me, why there are so many exceptions throughout the year to it. Just
consensus has been that as issues come up that are contractual issues properly and should be negotiated, that we are papering them correctly through an MOA. Not perfect process, but contracts point in time, and contracts are, ours are 3 years or maybe longer, and things can change during the course of during the term.
Seems like we have an extraordinary number. It's just this time of year, but it's a drip, and I'm worried that we just set up this, we have a contract, but also we have this alternative methodology to address all kinds of things. And just, I don't get it.
Yeah, sure.
I think some of the MOAs are actually bad things that are currently not in our contract. So for example,
I
coastal
agree.
agreements are added to our contract, so it's a benefit, right? So it's an add-on benefit for the staff and for the district. So that way we're getting integration specialists and the students. In order to have an assistant principal in the high school, you have to have an MOA with the Voorheesville Administrators Association because they don't have an assistant principal. So we have to have it. So they're requesting it. So in order for us to be continue to add and move with the times, those MOAs then help. So I think the ones that you have more concerns with are the budgetary financial impact ones. That they're
Particularly if they're specific to like one individual. I
So,
don't understand why we do.
Because when we have a contract, it's usually a multi-year contract.
Right.
So we're going into it with the best information, the best knowledge of the situation. The situation sometimes changes because, as you know,
Well, it changes, but it's based on equity and fairness. A very nebulous term. And I'm just unsure if we're going to continue to make these adjustments based on a standard of fairness and equity. What it's described to me is the reason why we're doing it. And I'm just saying, I'm not objecting to them, but I just think a continuation of this methodology, I find offensive. I would say that we have a contract in place, that there's certain things, a certain position is added or something like that, I get it. But if we're making adjustments to the pay scale, making adjustments to our terms and conditions of employment for people who are already addressed in a contract, I would say no, we wait until we renew the contract.
I see your point, but I also think the economy has changed dramatically since the contract was negotiated. The labor market has changed dramatically, and we have an obligation to make sure that the district is properly staffed. And if we're going to lose staff because we're not competitive, like some of the other ones that have come up.
I'm not sure I agree with that.
But also, I think, you know, some of these, we're in a bad spot if we don't make a change. And that, I agree with you, is problematic from a employer standpoint, right? You don't want to have your hands
You're
tied.
making an assumption that I'm not making.
I think there are things that have changed since that contract that required some of these MOAs that you may find. So,
I've said my piece.
All right, always good to have different perspectives. And be able to speak about that. With that in mind, yeah, 4.3 to 4.9, I would say. So 4.3 to 4.9, are there any other thoughts or questions about those different? Anything else?
No.
All right, with that, would anyone like to move 4.3 to 4.9? Oh, that's awesome. All in favor? Aye. Okay. And then 4.10 is memorandum of PTA. Any thoughts or questions regarding that?
No, but thank you, Frank, Jim, and everyone who participated in getting us to this point. I know it was a ton of work on both sides, and there were compromises along the way. both sides to reach an agreement that everybody can live with and will get us through the next 3 years. So, thank you.
But it feels like it's collaborative. Constructive for everyone. And with that, is there any other thoughts or questions? Anyone want to move it? Second? I'll second. All in favor? Aye. All right, we have. And with that, 411, and take that with 411, and we'll just do that separately. Any thoughts or questions on that one specifically? Okay, and want to move it? Move it. Second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, and 412. Any thoughts or questions? All right, anyone want to move it? Move it. Second? Okay, all in favor? Aye. All right, and 413, the declaration of surplus / obsolete items. Lots of interesting things there. Would anyone like to discuss filing cabinets or
Right, citizen, Neil Carey, our new director of facilities, and Lonnie Stafford, who doesn't have here already. They are going through piles and piles of things that are in their basement. Taking the time to inventory it all, taking the time to surplus it. Really, like Jim's nodding said, it's an overwhelming job. They're doing a really good job at this, and I think you'll see more and more of this. Just being able to make sure that we selling what we can sell, keeping what we can keep, and moving this forward. And those two people are doing a heck of a job.
with that in mind, anyone want to ask any questions or bring up any thoughts? On 4.13, would anyone like to move it? Anyone like to second? I'll second. All in favor? Aye. All right, we're gonna move to audit committee.
We did not meet since our last meeting in June. But I can't recall. We still have to figure out who's,
Yes, we'll be discussing.
yeah, so I guess once we, set committee chair people that set their calendars.
So,
So the only other things I did circulate the minutes from the February meeting by email earlier today. So that is, comments passable along, otherwise we'll. So,
okay, so regarding committees, an email went out with committees, everyone's good with that, then I'll pass along to Jess. So Jess, I'll be giving you committee names, and chairs, and they can work on scheduling everything appropriately for the members of the committee. That's awesome, thank you. With that, curriculum committee.
Curriculum committee is not met since May 17th, so I have nothing to report. But I understand that Robin Lilly is going to be the new chair of the curriculum committee. So I want to officially pass her the time. Congratulations.
Tim, thank you for your service stewarding the curriculum.
Thank you. I remain on the committee.
Yes.
I want to. Very happy that she's chair.
It's kind of exciting to have a teacher chairing a curriculum. So crazy. With that, Robin, you're the only member of the facilities committee here. Would you like to recount anything from the facilities committee? Seems like it's a really long time ago. What? It was, right, was there too? Yes.
You covered it all already.
You are officially a member of, was there anything?
I really think we went over a lot of capital project items.
Yes.
Disaster meals, talked about our grounds. One of the bigger issues that we discussed was that when we do start the transportation facility, that will knock out a good portion of our baseball field, making that inoperable.
So we will not be able to utilize that depending on what happens, because we have to cut out a large portion of our facility, cut back in and fill it in. So we will not have a baseball facility depending on where it is, and Joe's already working on figuring that out. Those were the big components we discussed.
Making a just thought, when that does happen, if it is safe, perhaps that could be an area for science and other students.
I don't think you can have people on the construction site, there's a lot of liability that goes with it, but we could ask. Yes.
Photographs and stuff. With that, I believe, RG, you were the policy representative here today.
Yeah. So both of our, so we did meet, it was only 2 hours, June 22nd, yeah, short meeting, it was only 2 hours. The bulk of our time was spent on the code of conduct and preparing the final for everyone. We had some really lively discussions that did not result in changes. A lot of those discussions were around violent students and penalties and searches and interrogations. So we worked through all of those issues, did not make any major substantive changes to those sections, but they required a lot of full discussion. We did also work on the interscholastic and modified sports. There were some minor revisions to that. I can't remember, did we do that in that meeting or in the last meeting?
It was the last.
I think it was the meeting before, right? So
That went,
yeah, well, we were trying to look at them as a group, all of the code of conduct as well as the policies on interscholastic and modified sports and academic eligibility. So those, I think we were done with them pretty much, but we held them as a group to do with the code of conduct. And the extracurricular and co-curricular code of conduct. We finished up investments, which we talked about in the last audit committee meeting, and purchasing. Both of those were required annual reviews, and we approved them at the last meeting, but we took back 6240 investments, and we made one minor pronoun change there. And then we also, which I think is up for a vote tonight. And then we also discussed purchasing because NISBA had suggested including language about green purchasing. And we felt that that program that the state has started is not far enough along yet for us to have confidence including that language in our current policy. So we want to let that play out a little bit and then we'll come back to it. So 6,700 is not up because we didn't make any changes to it. I think that was mainly it. We have a lot planned for future meetings. I think we still have to finish up student harassment and bullying, which has been on our agenda, as well as equal opportunity non-discrimination. There are NISBA recommendations for each of those policies that we've been working through. And then we have a running list of NISBA updates as well as other policies that we're continuing to work on. And NISBA's third quarter update. Just so we're going to have a whole other list as well. And the policy committee members will be added to that. Yes. Yeah, so that. Thank you. Those meetings are fabulous. Must see TV or participate in. Thank you, William and Patricia, for doing all the work you guys did. Thank you, Frank, with that, we move to new business and we're skipping along to 6.2 to amend a previous gift and donation. And are there any thoughts or questions regarding the previous budget? Just making that up. No. And as long as we're doing budget amendment 6.3, any thoughts or questions about that one? I'll just say we kind of previewed this in the last audit committee meeting, where we know we've been running at a deficit, and we knew we'd have to,
So
no?
Jim and I have come to some realizations. And so Jim, you want to share the,
So here's what I'm gonna say. When you're working with someone else's spreadsheet, sometimes things don't work
by the way, this is
correctly.
new as of yesterday and today?
Yep. So we had two items that were kind of offsetting. One being the state said you have to spend $42,000 on equipment because you have too much fund balance. The other side, the USDA and the state said, we want to help you with your supply chain. So they gave us $43,000. So those basically offset. Those to the side. When you look at everything, including those two items, we would have come out about 22,000 to the negative. When you add in the 43,000 that came in as revenue, we actually end up about 21,000 to the good. It's a good result.
Thing for cafeteria fund, but
It's a good
it does
result,
have a negative impact.
but our fund balance will again be too high, and the state will come in and say, you need to spend $30,000. So we'll start that process now before they communicate to us in December so that we can have it all.
But we're not ending the year in red.
Which is
positive.
That's a miracle.
Hands off the ball.
Okay, hang on too. I wanna make sure I understand it. So we're increasing the budget for each of these programs,
Each of these line items.
so that we have more money to spend to kind of backstop.
We've already spent the money, it's
Right.
just bringing it up to that number.
Okay, got it.
One thing we are doing though for next year is we're gonna start tracking where the funds are coming from revenue wise, and really understanding, is it coming from extras, is it coming from middle school, high school, is it coming from the elementary? And then as we start tracking out the change in the kitchen at the elementary school, that will give us a baseline to see then where our revenues change, because we're now having a full cooking kitchen at our elementary school, which is different. So we'll at least give the district a starting point of understanding where the revenue is coming from, and then how we can offset it.
And just to clarify, in the state's budget, there was additional funding for free meals, but
So you have
for
25 to 40, they're changing the legislation right now, having a conversation, wasn't 40%, they're looking at 25% being reduced. We are about 12%.
yeah,
So
I
we
didn't
won't
think
qualify
that.
as a CEP, that's the vision, so we won't get the free lunches because we don't hit the overall mark.
This is the Title I rate of 40%.
So you
It's
can,
now 25.
Well,
it's the census rate of poverty,
and
which is
there's
usually lower than the actual.
So right now, districts, if you're at 39.5%, you cannot get free lunch for your school because it's you're not there. So they're looking at changing that. Legislation still hasn't been decided upon yet, something just came out today. I saw about 25 to 40%. Conversations are still there. Unfortunately, that still doesn't hit our district. So, we're not that. Positive for other school districts, positive for other communities, just won't support it. We won't have the numbers to be able to do it.
It's to help the students who do need that. Right, with that in mind, 6.2 and 6.3, any more thoughts or questions? Would anyone like to move that? Move those two? I'll move them. Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right, 6.4, Board of Education Policy 5280. Yep. Any thoughts or questions for Arjun? Anyone like to move this? I'll move it. Second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Okay. And 5281. Any thoughts or questions? I mean,
I'll just say, a lot of the changes to this were to conform to the new. That's a major revised.
Any thoughts or questions? All right, anyone like to move it? Move it. Anyone second?
I'll second.
Right, all in favor? Aye. And 6240 and 6240 are investments. Two investment policies. Any thoughts or questions?
This was just the one minor change.
Okay. Anyone want to move it?
Move it.
All right, who's got the move? Tim. Second? I'll second. All in favor? Aye. All right, we're going to actually abolish a policy. I think this is the first time I've ever been around for this. 5200 and 5200 are. So,
And the athletic.
yep. And the athletic. Are you guys ready?
Yeah, so those are all now part of 205.
Any thoughts or questions about this momentous moment? Go. All right, who would like to move this? Second. I'll second it. All in favor? Aye. All right. Big exciting stuff there. With that, we move to the second opportunity for the public to be heard. Does anyone like to come forward? They are now free to do so. All right, with that, the opportunity for the board to be heard. So,
Rachel, you asked a question during the sports comment. You asked if we have voice modifier soccer team.
Coach.
Yeah, we don't have one currently. We are having a team, Joe's in the process of exiting the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Just something someone does.
I just figured I'd give you an answer.
Speaking of soccer, I can see girls are sitting out there.
We already did that.
All right, well, there we go.
Girls golf is still being awesome.
Thank you
You're
for
welcome.
answering that question. I feel like it went up.
I
Answer.
figured I'd give you an answer for you.
That is fine. Okay, opportunity for the board to be heard. Anything? Well, welcome to the first of the 70, July 1st start right here, so the 2023-24 year scholastic year, board year, district year. And it's been wonderful working with everyone here. It's great to have another year together and appreciating all of the people working for the district that we get to work with. And we are not going to have to wait for this. With that, dates to remember, we have a board retreat coming up on the 4th of August, and we have a regular board meeting on the 7th, which may or may not be preceded by an audit committee. And right now we're planning to be in the LGI. If the heat index is as it may be, we might be right back in this library room. My apologies if any other library room seems. Any thoughts or questions before we move to adjourn? Anyone like to move to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn.
Okay. Second? I will second. All in favor? Aye.